Well, your intro shared that we were managing 60 condos, and that is true. I had a staff of 13 in May of 2023. We were named Women-Owned Business of the Year for the SBA. And then 3 months later, all changed. On August 8th, 2023, the Lahaina fire came through, and now we manage one property. So it's funny asking about how to grow your business. I'm like, oh, that's kind of an ironic question because I've basically gone in the other direction. But there's a long story to all of that.
Welcome to the Vacation Rental Show. This is your essential playbook to grow and scale your vacation rental business with advice and insights from the best in the biz. I'm your host, Lynell Gordon. Welcome to the Vacation Rental Show. I'm Lynell Gordon, your host, and today I'm really excited to have Angie Leone with us today. She is the CEO and the founder of Coconut Condos. Now, I'm going to tell you where it is, but if you're looking at the video, she's got a plumeria flower right behind her ear, and it is stunning, which every time I go visit where she lives, I do the exact same thing. I actually have a clip that I brought because it's so pretty, but it doesn't smell as good. She's in Maui. So she has a vacation rental company there, and she's known for having exceptional guest experiences and, guys, community impact. So she's founded the company. She founded it in 2011 with just a single property, guys. And she's grown it into a thriving operation. Now she manages over 60, but let's talk about this. You were also named 2019 Small Business Association, the Maui Small Business Person of the Year. That doesn't mean you're small. It was the group is called Small Businessmen. And I think that's fabulous. She brings her leadership, customer service guys, and here's the big deal, navigating adversity to the world of vacation rentals. Thanks and welcome, Angie. So happy to have you.
Aloha, and thank you for having me. It's such an honor to be on your show. Yes, all the way from Maui. And yeah, I appreciate that introduction. Things have changed quite a bit in the last few years, but yeah, it's been quite a journey.
So for those of you who don't remember or you haven't thought about it lately, remember the fire that was in Maui. This is her home. So, Angela, Angie, tell us about before and after the fire. Tell us what that looks like for you.
Well, your intro shared that we were managing 60 condos, and that is true. I had a staff of 13 in May of 2023. We were named Women-Owned Business of the Year for the SBA. And then 3 months later, all changed. On August 8th, 2023, the Lahaina fire came through, and now we manage one property. So it's funny asking about how to grow your business. I'm like, oh, that's kind of an ironic question because I've basically gone in the other direction. But there's a long story to all of that.
Tell me your story. We want to hear. We do.
Yeah, well, COVID was a big challenge everywhere, right? And Hawaii was especially challenging, I think, because on one hand, we were able to be outside and enjoy the surf, and but on the other hand, we were basically shut down for 13 months.
They did. That was crazy. We were just shocked at what Hawaii did.
Yeah. And thankfully, I was part of some business forums at the time with other vacation rental managers, and I was able to gain some perspective on what was happening in the rest of the country. It wasn't all the same as it was here, which was helpful and challenging at the same time because I would go on those calls and sometimes come off just a little bit discouraged because of we weren't having the same experience of, 3 months later, a lot of my friends were back up and running and doing gangbusters, and we were just sitting over here shut down. So that was a really challenging trial to walk through as a business owner and not really knowing what to be able to tell my staff. I just really tried to be transparent with them and saying, I don't really know, but here's what I do know. And here's what I hope that we can do together. And so, you feel like I felt like I pretty much got a master's in PPP and all of that. So walked through all that. After 13 months, I think we went to the PRMA conference that year, and we were just still so tired from COVID. And surprisingly, we're named PRMA Company of the Year. I was like, I don't even know how this is happening. We walked through the hardest thing we've ever been through. But I've learned now that sometimes when you walk through hard things, it's preparing you for something even more difficult. And I do believe that navigating COVID has helped me navigate post-fire. So this is kind of the longer version, but after COVID, we came back just like everybody else, kind of with a fire hose, right? It was faster, more people coming than we'd ever had. And we were grateful for it. But I was still really tired. And I have two boys and they're teenagers now. And I had been thinking about selling the company for a while. And I remember at that San Antonio VRMA conference, I pulled David Angotti aside. He's a good friend of mine. And I asked him about selling his company and his advice. And he told me, you just need to get your best 12 months of your P&L and then list it.
He's right. 100% right. There you go. David's got good advice. He's a smart fella, as we all know.
That's right. So I took his advice and we came back in 2022. I think April to April was our best 12 months. And then May 1st, you do all the work. It's a lot of work for anyone that's listed their company for sale. It's a lot of work gathering all that paperwork. And I worked with Jacoby and for months and months. We listed it for sale on May 1st, 2023, and then we were under contract or LOI by June 1st. And we were so excited, and we agreed on a price that we were, comfortable with and happy with. And that summer with Coconut Condos, one of the things that I really loved the most about our company is for every condo that we managed, we sponsored a child through Compassion International. And then over the summer, we would take our boys and some of our staff to meet the children that we sponsored. So that summer, we were going to the Dominican Republic. And I think we did 4 countries in 4 weeks that summer. So we were traveling internationally, celebrating that we were under contract to sell the company. And our estimated sale date was August 1st. But then, or the closing date was August 1st. And then things on the buyer's end happened and needed to push back the timeline, which was fine because I was like, we're traveling and, due diligence is no joke when you have to, gather all that paperwork. So we got back and the buyer flew over August 6th and we toured Lahaina. We went to lunch at Fleetwood's, toured the properties and went to the office, and it was on a Sunday. And we went inside, and one of the things that was really important to me was the buyer wanted to keep supporting all the Compassion kids. And he took a picture of the map in our office where we had the world's map and then pictures of all the kids taped to the map. And we hugged in the parking lot, said our goodbyes, and said, okay, well, we'll just finish up the paperwork. This is going to be great. And that was the last time I ever stepped in my office. And then 2 days later, the fire came, and at the time we had 50 properties we were managing, and we operated the front desk at Ainanalo Resort in Lahaina, and our office and warehouse is in Lahaina. And of the 50 we were managing, 45 burned down, including that front desk and our office and warehouse. And so clearly we didn't have anything left to sell. And, it's interesting because David and Wes, his partner Wes, when they sold their company, they had a very similar experience with a fire right before the sale of their company, but it didn't, it wasn't as comprehensive. So they were able to go through with theirs. But in an instant, that changed everything. And the way that I had envisioned it all going completely changed. And so for the last 2 years, we've been navigating how to handle that and how to walk through it with your children and your community and yourself and your faith. And so I have definitely learned a lot, but I think that having gone through COVID, that was the hardest thing I'd navigated as a business owner, a businesswoman. And this hands down has been, way harder, but I did feel in some ways prepared because each time you go through something hard, you believe that and you know that you can get through it. And I guess that would be my word of encouragement to your listeners today is that, I pray that nobody ever goes through what we went through here in Lahaina, but everyone will go through something really hard. And I know you've been through things that are really hard, and there's always hope, and you always have choices. At the women's conference, Kate Sprinkle spoke before me, and she said her mom taught her, you always have choices. And I love that. We do. We always have a choice, right? And I had to keep teaching that to my boys. I have teenage boys that are watching how their mom's going to handle. Well, they watched me go through COVID, and then they've watched me handle losing the business. And we get to choose the model that we want to give them because they're going to go through adversity in their life. They've already walked through all of this with me and my husband. So, yeah.
So let me ask you this. So what have you decided that you're going to do with the business? How are you handling that? You still have your business. You have one condo right now, right? And are you building that back up? Is that where you're going?
In the beginning, right after the fire, we had five properties left. And then two of those, our local government was really encouraging people to turn their short-term rentals into long-term rentals to assist with fire victims that lost their homes. And so two of our owners chose to do that. So then we went to three. And if you've followed any of the short-term regulations in Maui, it's a very challenging, it always has been a very challenging place to operate vacation rentals, but in West Maui, particularly after the fire, it's become even more challenging. And it became clear to both my husband and I fairly quickly after the fire that this really wasn't an environment that we felt like was where we wanted to continue to try and grow in this industry. After COVID, during COVID, I started PRMA, which was an advocacy group because our mayor only wanted to let hotels open and not short-term rentals.
I remember that. That's just, it's insane to me. It was total insanity there to me.
Oh yeah, it was insane to me too. I remember he would do these 4:00 like public announcements, and I would listen to them every day because our businesses were hinging upon the decisions that were being made. And
Exactly.
I vividly remember him saying that, and I was like, I'm not sure that's legal. I don't think he can do that. And so I sent an email to a bunch of my friendly competitors in Maui, and we formed the Professional Rental Managers Association as a trade council under our Maui Chamber of Commerce. And from 2020 to 2023, till the fires, we fought, I think, probably 30 plus bills.
Wow.
Giving testimony, writing testimony, oral testimony. And that was, before we had the fire and the housing issues that have come up since then. So it's not lost on me the challenges that we have in terms of, legislature and.
Scott Leggat and I have talked about that, especially in Hawaii. Hawaii is very close to his heart. He's the head of that group for Inhabit, the advocacy group, and he basically grew up kind of in Hawaii. He went to school there, met his wife there. That's it's a huge deal. I remember when he was working as the CEO of our company, we went over there because it's to look at that market because it's just so big in his heart. We could not believe. We were just stunned by the decisions that were being made to shut down this industry. And I am just really appreciative that you are brave enough to talk about the type of adversity that you've gone through. Built by property managers for property managers, Streamline is a powerful software that gives managers enterprise-level capabilities to drive more revenue and improve operational efficiency. Migrating to Streamline allows property managers to gain functionality while reducing the need for multiple vendors. Improve your flow by logging into a single system and reduce redundant technology costs. With Streamline, property managers achieve revenue lifts by leveraging our fully fledged communication center reservations, quoting system, revenue management tools, homeowner acquisition CRM, and powerful direct OTA connections. Streamline also has industry-leading trust accounting and report capabilities to give you clarity in an overall company performance. Learn more about Streamline Vacation Rental Software at streamlinevrs.com. Now, okay, so you formed the PRMA, and how is that functioning now? How is that working for you now?
Scott had helped me a lot before the fire, during the fire, after the fire. I would call him a dear friend. And
he is, yes.
Yeah, I saw him recently. They were here for a breakfast summit, and we had lunch. And he did say to me, sometimes it's, the phrase that comes to mind is know when to hold them and know when to fold them. And he said, Angie, sometimes it's really wise to just know when it's time to do something else. And after COVID, I thought, I just want to give up. This is so hard. I'm done. But I didn't. And I knew it wasn't the time to give up. I needed to keep pressing on. And we did. And we came back. And after the fire, when we had 3 left and we were looking at the landscape of short-term rentals here in West Maui, and just made the decision that it wasn't a fight that I wanted to fight anymore. So PRMA is operating more under MVRA now. So there were 2 advocacy groups. I'm not fighting the fight. I didn't have the capacity, honestly, after the fire to be doing that. And there are companies that didn't lose all their properties that have picked it up. And I think sometimes there are seasons for certain work. And from 2020 to 2023, that was a season for me to be fighting that battle. And it was obvious to me that that time had ended, and it was a season for someone else to be able to pick up that baton. But I am thankful to Scott and Inhabit for all the help that they gave, and all my other members of PRMA that continue the work of advocacy here. So in terms of what we're doing next, yes, we have our flagship property, we call it. It is a bed and breakfast property. It's the home that we own, and we rent it out in Kaanapali. So it was unaffected by the fires, and Kaanapali is still very much thriving and beautiful, and the beaches and restaurants are all still there. So we operate that, just my husband and I. It's a much simpler operation. From, managing all of your listeners, you guys do a lot. You manage a lot of employees. It's a lot of work. And right now, I'm just enjoying the simplicity of life, having one property, working with my husband, and enjoying the days with my teenage boys before my senior goes off to college next year. And my freshman is into volleyball, which I love too. So a simpler season, and a dream of mine when I was selling the business was to do more writing and speaking. I've always had a dream of writing a book, and I have a story to tell now, so I'm working on that. And I think sharing the message of hope and encouragement with whoever I can.
I love the fact it's so inspirational to hear you talk about the fact that, this was something you'd wanted to do. You're following your dreams still. And it may not, and it may not be building a large property management company. It may be having, a life. We know how, guys, everybody out there knows what it is in property management and hospitality. We are always on the go. We are always doing and thinking about other people and that kind of thing. And the vacations that we take, that international trip that you took to see those kids, I mean, how wonderful was that? We just don't get to do that very much. I always encourage property managers to take the time to go on vacation themselves, because we do all the service, we're serving people all the time. And so having an opportunity to sit back and walk through, the thought process, Angie, and think, I guess, what do I want to do? What is this season in my life? And 100%, we all go through different seasons, but that must have been incredibly difficult to decide not to build that back, because when you've been doing that for, since 2011, it's a totally different life. Now, is it a better life? Well, from your smile, it's obviously it's a good life that's going on. What advice would you give to property managers who are in a similar situation with being exhausted and tired? And let me just say this, the Outer Banks lost, I think, 13 homes this year. They lost five other homes in Buxton just this past week. Sixth one went in yesterday. They're losing it to the ocean. So, there are lots of property managers and people that are dealing with adversity when it comes to losing their business and part of it. What advice would you give to them?
Well, I think there's two pieces to this. There's to your listeners who still have businesses that you are thriving in, although you're exhausted and you're trying to find balance in life. I think one of the benefits of the way we started the company is there were some non-negotiables from day one that I wasn't willing to give up, because it started as a side hustle. My husband had a job, and this was just when the boys were little. We always go to Michigan for the summer, the month of July. That's where we go spend summers. And that was a non-negotiable. And so from day one, when I started Coconut Condos, I was always gone the month of July. And that's our second busiest month. And so I remember handing my keys to my bookkeeper the first summer, being like, okay, call me if anything bad happens. But that was how those were some things that I was like, if I can't do this with my kids, then I don't want this business. And so that was how it just was woven into the fabric of our company. And when I hired on my COO, one of her non-negotiables from having worked in her businesses before was that she wanted a 4-day work week. And I was like, okay, well, we'll make that work. So these were things that were woven into the fabric of our company that helped establish some work-life balance. And really, yes, our businesses are important, but they are not for me, it was not the most important thing. And then as I knew that at the end of the day, my exit plan was to sell. And so when you have that in mind, I started a long time ago learning and going to sessions about how to transition your company for the future. And one of the things that I remember Ben Edwards always saying was like, you need to prepare your company for you to be removed from it. And so like you're saying, if you can't go on vacation, then you are way too embedded in the day-to-day of your business. The CEO should be the visionary and the one leading from up here. And that should allow you to be able to go on vacation. You need to be able to pull yourself out of the day-to-day. And I think that is one thing that I'm really grateful that I was able to do all those 13 years is I don't feel like I missed things with my boys, even while I had the company, because I had set those non-negotiables up in the beginning. So for people that are in it, in the middle of it, if you can set up systems that allow other people to be empowered to do maybe a lot of the things that you're doing, give yourself that space. When I would go away, that is when I would get, fresh ideas. And if you're not ever doing that, I feel like you're doing your company a disservice. And then for those of you that are walking through challenges and, hopefully not what we face, but some of you are. I mean, hurricanes and fires, and I mean, they're not going to stop. So some of you are going to walk through what we've walked through. And I mean, a lot of that is what I'm writing. It's been cathartic, but the things that I've learned before, during, and after that we can do to prepare our lives, our kids, our families, our businesses for the things that come. Setting up, I spoke about this in Charleston, but setting up your board of directors and the people around you that can be in place when the storm comes. I had those business forums in place, and 6 weeks after the fire, I flew to Oregon and was at a retreat with all of them. And they surrounded me and they helped me, they listened, and they encouraged me and gave me advice. So setting those things up now. And then I'm sitting here, I just finished my 5Fs. I talked about this in Charleston too. If you can set up your morning routine and your evening routine, things that help you stay healthy, that put you in the right mindset, and whether you're going through a trial or not, but it's going to come. Yeah, my 5Fs are faith, family, fitness, freeze. I do cold plunge and sauna, and then focus. So this would be part of my focus after I did the other 4Fs. That has been something that has really helped since the fire, on days when I just was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm so sad and I don't even know what to do today. Like, I don't know. But if you can like get those things done, then you can get yourself back to a place where you're like, okay, let's focus. Yeah. And then sometimes you rebuild like we did after COVID, and sometimes you reinvent. And I would say that's what we're doing now. We still love vacation rental, hospitality. We still have that piece of our lives with our flagship property, living the dream home in Kaanapali. But that is just part of what we're doing. So now being able to, speak and encourage other people that may be walking through similar things. So yeah, sometimes you rebuild and sometimes you reinvent, and stay in community, because this vacation rental community is such a unique, tight-knit circle of people. And when we went through the fire, I was so encouraged by my peers and my vendors and the support that we had for our employees, for our GoFundMe. And we showed up, Mike and I showed up at PRMA, the conference, and we were able to go and look people in the eye and say, thank you for your support, and get hugs. And that has continued since that day. So it just, being on your podcast today, I feel like there's been nothing but support from this community. So yeah, stay involved and lean on each other when you need it.
I love that. That's very good advice. I know that hospitality heroes could certainly use your input, as they try to work on something tangible that people can have to help them during these times of adversity, so that we have some support in this industry that allows property managers to have help in adversity, because Lord knows we need it.
Yeah. I love what they're doing. I love it. I saw Amber at the women's conference, and we connected about it a little bit. And I think it is such a beautiful venture that they're taking on, because we definitely need it. And it's not going to stop. Unfortunately, that's just part of our world. So they're meeting a need for sure that is really important.
Well, I really appreciate you sharing. I do. I appreciate your strength that you give to everyone by talking about walking through it and the decisions that you made. And it's definitely extraordinary. You have an extraordinary story, and I'm really, really happy to share that. So I am. So is there anything else you want to say before we go?
I just thank you for the opportunity to join you today. Thank you for sharing your story and encouraging our industry, and just all that you do for property managers. And yeah, I would just say, if you're walking through a hard time, hang in there, and there is always hope.
If people want to reach out to you, are you open to that right now?
Oh yeah. So
okay, how would they reach you?
Yeah, Coconut Condos. We still have our website up for that flagship property, and then you can also reach me at angieleone.com, or on Instagram as well at Miss Angie Leone.
I look forward to your book. You have to come back when you have your book together. You have to come back and tell us about it. And listen, I wish you wonderful shalom in the situations that you find yourself in. And thank you for being so gracious and kind to come and share with your story. I know that lots of people have been rooting for you.
Thank you so much, Lynell. Mahalo and aloha.
This episode of the Vacation Rental Show is brought to you by Streamline. To find out more about how Streamline can grow your vacation rental business, visit streamlinevrs.com. Make sure to search for the Vacation Rental Show in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, or anywhere else podcasts are found, and hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. On behalf of the team here at Inhabit, thanks for listening.